Hello world, welcome back to the NuWave YouTube channel, which is now NuWave 5D Living actually, because we realized that all that we do is talk about 5D living. So this is Vishnupriya Aristo and myself, Sabrina Lindner. We are the founders of NuWave Leadership and we want to talk about 5D living again today. We are going to look into question 19 that we asked the collective of one and the answers and our perspectives and understanding around it. So over to Vishnupriya, what was our next question?
Yes, so this is interesting as I'm kind of asking follow-up question to the previous question. So I hope all of you remember the previous question was around pain and illness and how that's getting created in our body. And as you might have heard COO's answer around the so-called negative thoughts and negative emotions and how that kind of is a slow-moving energy which kind of gets stagnant in the body. So that was the answer. And then, therefore, I'm asking more questions around those thoughts and emotions in this case. So here we go. Question 19. My actual question was, would you separate it as emotional body, mental body, having these thoughts? Because this is what I had learned from things that I had learned previously, which is, oh, we have something called the mental body, where all these thoughts are getting created. And then we have something called the emotional body, which creates these emotions. That was like the image in my mind. So I just wanted to see what perspectives the COO has around that. So to complete the question, how are these thoughts and emotions kind of created in the first place? How do you see it from your perspective? As you can notice from the question, I'm getting really curious around how is this even getting created, right? What is this thoughts and emotions all about? So let's listen to the COO's answer. Over to you, Sabrina.
Yes, let's jump into it. So here's the answer. No, there's no separation. It is just different. The energy shows up in different ways. So there's no separation between any body, or actually, the term body is misleading the way you use it in human terms. But we understand where this is coming from because you are trying to make sense of what you are as humanity, what everything is. But the energy itself is never separated. The only thing that happens is that in some parts the energy runs freely and beautifully, and the purification process is really, at its most beautiful. Let's put it that way. And in other parts, it is sort of contaminated and clogging a bit, and it takes a bit more time. It is all a supernatural, like a very natural process. And it's not, that one is separated and has to come back to something or anything like that. It's more like simply in one area, a river would flow faster, and in other areas, it would go slower. Then there's a waterfall, then there are some areas where maybe some mud is there and has made it a little dirtier. So that's how you can maybe imagine it to make it easier to understand. So if you want to teach your students, the first thing that, or one of the first things that we would recommend is that you encourage them to let go of the idea of separation or of different categories of their being, because that is actually aiding the process of slowing down the energy flow and slowing down the purification process. Now I'm curious, what is Vishnupriya making of this beautiful answer?
Yes. So as you can see, once again, the perspective of oneness is so beautiful, especially in this particular answer. They are kind of describing or painting a beautiful picture for us, so it's easy for us to understand from a human perspective, right? So prior to this answer, the image that I had in mind was what I learned from the outside world, which is, like the human body, outline of a human body, and then there are all these concentric circles. That was the image in my mind. I would usually call it, this is energy field of a human being, where they have all these separate different bodies, so to speak, the mental body, the emotional body. Some of the teachings talk about seven different bodies or three different bodies. So that was the image in my mind. And now, when you look at it from COO's oneness perspective, obviously there is so much of separation that we have created in our minds. And every time we put a layer of separation, there also comes a layer of judgment that this is how it has to be. Overall separation creates so much of slow moving perspectives in us, right? So therefore, coming back to the answer that COO is giving us here and the image of that beautiful river, right? And this is how I have recently started imagining and picturizing everything, right? Looking at the entire universe as a beautiful flow of just river. One part of the river is like really fast flowing, just not even river, maybe a big ocean, mighty ocean that you can imagine. One part of it is super fast flowing, one part of it is really slow. One little part of it is like mixed with mud and it's so much dirty, for example. So that's the vision now I have of the entire universe. And we as human beings now, you can go back to my little, concentric circle image. Now, all of that kind of is all the lines have been removed, right? So imagine a room full of people sitting as an example, right? Let's imagine it's a room full of a lot of chairs and a lot of people sitting. How would you look at it from an energetic perspective? Just remove all the physical layers and look at it microscopically, so to speak. If you're looking at it through a microscope, most likely you will simply see energy. Like energy is very much like air, and all you can see is all bits and pieces of that entire room, along with so many people and chairs and all the physical stuff in there, is going to look like a moving energy. And then let's say for example you look at right and you see that there is a particular type of flowy energy that's going on the left. There might be some kind of slow moving, meaning kind of vibratory kind of motion, right? So that we can imagine as a slow moving energy. And then there's all diversity in that entire image that we are seeing. All we are looking at is just a room filled with people, but when you all of a sudden look at it energetically, it's like, oh wow, I see so many different types of energies. All I see is the difference within, or the diversity within this room full of energy is simply some portion of it is fast flowing, very fast flowing, slow moving, very slow moving. In between, we can kind of picturize that difference in the speed, but nothing else, no other difference, so to speak. And you will also notice that, there is a beauty in it. Right now, I see the beauty in it because otherwise I couldn't see it physically when I'm looking at it, most likely because of our definition to beauty. We do not see the beauty in it physically. But all of a sudden, when you start imagining it energetically, you are like, now I can see there is a beauty in all that variation in the diversity. All right, so that would be my answer. Over to you, Sabrina.
So it's just so beautiful, the image that you, Vishnupriya, you just painted about everything is energy and us imagining it. Because this is also something that I find myself doing these days. I just look around and I take away the physicality of myself, of everything that I see in my world, or even, our emotions and thoughts. We think of them as kind of a body, as Vishnupriya, you were also describing. So letting all that go and just thinking of everything as like glittery, energetic lines of some magical substance in a way makes me feel very connected. Even the chair I'm sitting on right now, I can feel very connected to that kind of energy that is supporting me sitting here when I think of it as an energetic creation rather than a physical thing, and everything becomes super free flowing. We can just look at it like, okay, sometimes they're a bit slower moving. That's okay. Sometimes they're a bit faster flowing. That's beautiful. All of it is just the same thing. And it makes our life on a daily basis so much easier because we don't have to constantly think like, oh, what is this? Which part, of all this separation is this? And how should I interpret it? How should I solve it? What should I do with it? All these questions can fade away and you can just observe the beautiful movie of your life, as we love saying, and can really enjoy the moments, right? The collective of one talks so much about the different moments and how just following the energy in those moments is really what, maybe if we want to put a word to it, what our focus in this life should be. Anything to add, Vishnupriya?
No, I guess that's an amazing image. And yes, letting go of any such labels, I guess what this answer and all of these answers, major transformation that brought up was how I was labeling negative thoughts and positive thoughts, negative emotions, positive emotions. And then there was too much significance,
Mm,
importance given to all the negative stuff, and now I have to shift and change it. All of those perspectives immediately started shifting. I let go of all those labels and started seeing even my thoughts and emotions as just as a flow of energy. As Sabrina said, sometimes it's fast flowing thoughts and fast flowing emotions, sometimes it's just slow moving. But again, from my previous image of the room full of people and how all different energies at the end of the day looks beautiful, there is beauty, therefore, in our slow moving thoughts and emotions. In other words, there is beauty even in our negative thoughts and negative emotions. So we don't really have to judge ourselves for any negative side of things, I guess. It's kind of the moral of the story, or one of the moral of the story. All right, I hope all of you enjoyed this little
yes,
answer here, and we are going to see you in our next video. Like, share, and subscribe. And if any of you are interested in any of the content that we are sharing here, please do contact us. We would love to invite you to our 5-day living experiment, which is very delicious process that we are running these days, along with the 5D coffee meets that we really have hooked up and loving and exciting process for us. We'll see you in the next video.
yes. See you soon.